Within the realm of criminal justice, narratives emerge that shed light on systemic flaws while serving as poignant reminders of the harrowing repercussions of unjust convictions. This comprehensive examination delves into 5 distinct categories of cases, each featuring innocent individuals condemned to death row, only to later be vindicated by the revelation of truth. These accounts underscore the disturbing fact that the very system designed to safeguard justice can, at times, inflict irreparable harm on innocent lives. Let us embark on a journey to explore these cases in greater detail, drawing attention to the profound implications of wrongful convictions and the quest for truth within the criminal justice system. Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott. A grave miscarriage of justice during the early 90s. The peaceful city of Austin, Texas, was shaken to its core by a heinous crime that would haunt the community for years to come. 4 innocent teenage girls, Eliza Thomas, Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, and Amy Myers, met a tragic and gruesome end in a local yogurt shop. This horrific event marked the beginning of a harrowing journey for Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott, 2 individuals who would soon find themselves ensnared in a web of injustice. As suspects in this dreadful crime, Springsteen and Scott faced relentless interrogations that stretched over agonizing hours, leading them to provide coerced confessions that would ultimately seal their fate. The lack of physical evidence connecting them to the crime scene was overshadowed by their forced admissions. However, justice would prove elusive for these wrongfully accused men. Years later, advancements in DNA testing finally exonerated them, shedding light on the grave miscarriage of justice that had taken place. The weight of those 18 years spent wrongfully incarcerated serves as a stark reminder of the lasting scars left by coercive interrogations and wrongful convictions. The harrowing ordeal of Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott underscores the urgent need for reform within the criminal justice system, emphasizing the imperative to protect the innocent from being ensnared in a system that can sometimes prioritize closure over truth. Clemente Aguirre. A twist in the tale. Clemente Aguirre's harrowing journey through the Florida justice system serves as a chilling example of a murder case gone terribly wrong. As an immigrant in the United States, he found himself entangled in a web of false accusations that would irrevocably alter his life. The initial suspicion surrounding Clemente arose from the brutal murders of Cheryl Williams and Carol Barris, crimes that shocked the community of Altamonte Springs, Florida. The evidence seemed damning at first, with Clemente's fingerprints and footprints discovered at the crime scene, along with a bag of clothes tainted with the victim's blood in his possession. Furthermore, the murder weapon matched knives from his workplace, further reinforcing the case against him. However, the real twist in this dark tale emerged when DNA evidence came to light. It pointed unequivocally to a new suspect, Cheryl's own daughter, Samantha. Samantha had a history of mental illness and a series of confessions in which she cited the influence of demons as the driving force behind her actions. Despite the compelling evidence in Clemente's favor, the justice system initially turned a blind eye to the possibility of his innocence. It was a long and arduous 12-year journey, filled with legal battles and unyielding hope. Eventually, the truth prevailed, and Clemente's innocence was acknowledged. Clemente Aguirre's case serves as a stark reminder of the resilience of hope in the face of injustice. It underscores the imperative for thorough investigations and the pursuit of truth, even when it challenges preconceived notions. Deborah Milker, a mother's nightmare. Deborah Milker's heart-wrenching ordeal began in 1989 when she found herself thrust into every parent's worst nightmare. Her son, Christopher, was brutally murdered, and to her shock and horror, she was accused and subsequently convicted of his murder. The case against Deborah rested almost entirely on a single piece of evidence, an alleged confession she was said to have made to Detective Armando Saldate, a notorious figure with a history of misconduct and perjury in other cases. It was a grim irony that her life hinged on the words of a detective whose credibility was far from unquestionable. For 23 agonizing years, Deborah Milker lived under the shadow of a death sentence, her hope kept alive by the unwavering belief in her innocence. The turning point in her nightmarish journey came when Saldate's history of misconduct began to unravel. This led to the long overdue reconsideration of her case. In the end, It was the power of perseverance and an unwavering pursuit of truth that set Deborah Milker free. Her release served as a poignant reminder that the justice system, despite its flaws, could correct its own mistakes. Her story also underscores the immense toll wrongful imprisonment takes on individuals and the critical importance of upholding the principles of justice and fairness. Ricky Jackson, the testimony of a child. In 1976, Ricky Jackson's life took a harrowing and unjust turn when he, along with two others, was convicted of a heinous murder solely based on the testimony of a 12-year-old child in Cleveland, Ohio. This case, marred by the absence of any physical evidence connecting them to the crime scene, highlights the devastating consequences of relying on a young witness's testimony. For nearly 4 decades, Ricky Jackson endured the horrors of imprisonment and lived under the shadow of the death penalty. The case against him and his co-defendants was built on the fragile words of a child whose life had been tragically upended by the weight of his testimony. It wasn't until years later that the truth began to emerge. The sole witness, now an adult, came forward and recanted his statement, revealing that he had been coerced by the police into providing false testimony as a child. This revelation became the turning point in the long-fought battle for justice. In the end, Ricky Jackson's release from prison serves as a stark reminder of the profound impact that wrongful convictions can have on innocent lives. His story underscores the critical need for a justice system that relies on credible evidence and safeguards against the devastating consequences of relying on the testimony of children who may be susceptible to manipulation and coercion. Clifford Williams Jr. and Nathan Myers, a witness's doubt. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Clifford Williams Jr. and Nathan Myers found themselves ensnared in a web of wrongful accusations, all stemming from a witness's doubtful account in a 1976 murder case in Jacksonville, Florida. This nightmarish ordeal began without a shred of physical evidence linking them to the crime, relying solely on the testimony of Nina Marshall, who pointed the finger at them, claiming they were responsible for the murder of her partner. For more than 4 decades, Williams and Myers languished behind bars, their lives marked by an injustice they could not escape. The lack of concrete evidence should have raised questions, but their convictions persisted. It wasn't until 42 excruciating years later that a glimmer of hope emerged. New evidence surfaced, revealing that the fatal shots had indeed originated from outside the building, a stark contrast to the original narrative. This revelation shattered the foundations of their wrongful convictions and ultimately led to their exoneration. The story of Clifford Williams Jr. and Nathan Myers serves as a stark reminder of the tragic consequences that befall individuals caught in a flawed justice system. Their enduring resilience and eventual vindication emphasize the critical need for reform and safeguards to prevent the unjust imprisonment of innocent lives. These cases of wrongful convictions, where innocent lives were nearly destroyed, serve as a stark reminder of the imperfections within the criminal justice system. They emphasize the importance of continually seeking truth and justice, even when it takes decades to right the wrongs. If you found these stories compelling, subscribe to our channel to stay informed about more thought-provoking explorations of the legal system's complexities and human resilience in the face of adversity.